Hi, my name is Graham. Today we're going to be looking at this beauty over here. This is the new Slick from Duotone in the D-Lab version. This is a 6 meter. There's a big question about it. Is this wing worth double the price of the Dacron version? And the short answer is absolutely yes, 100%. It's a really good wing. Huge improvement over the Dacron version. As with all reviews, please bear in mind they are very subjective. As we all know, rider weight, skill level, conditions all play a huge part into what the wing or foils or boards feel like. So this is just my opinion, and hopefully it'll help you get some more information if you're thinking about one of these wings. This video is not sponsored in any way by Duotone, it's purely just my opinion. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so yes, that question is it worth it? Well, the first time I tried this, the day before I got in this, I'd actually just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I was telling him I just don't understand how I can justify spending more than double the price for a wing. It was basically the same wing, so I thought. And we had this discussion about it. The next day I had the opportunity to try the D-Lab version of the unit, the Duotone unit. I only took it out for about an hour, but I came right back in and went to that same friend of mine and said, absolutely, the price is justified, it's that good. What struck me was, as soon as I got going, it was about 15 knots. The first pump I did on this swing was insane. It was just remarkable how stiff it was. It was almost as if you had a cable attached to the wing and you just yanked yourself up on foil. I honestly have never felt that in a wing before. It just pulled you right up on foil without any effort at all. And that was on the unit. Then I got my hands on the Slick. I do own a unit, and I have been riding the Slick SLS for quite some time now, and I love both the wings. Of course, there are differences, and in a future review we're going to compare the Slick D-Lab to the Unit D-Lab to give you an idea of what differences there are. The first time I got on the Slick, the D-Lab version, it was extremely light day, probably 5 to 8, maybe gusts of 10 knots. I was very surprised that I was able to get going. I've never been able to get going on the setup I had with a 6 meter. I had an 85 liter Skywing Fanatic, and I was on the North SF 1080 with a 215 tail and an 85 mast. And yeah, it was a little bit of work to get it going because the wind was so light, but I got a slight gust and managed to get up. What was really nice about this wing was, once I was up, when you find that spot that you can feel the wing and feel it creating apparent wind, this wing really does create a great amount of apparent wind. It pulls, because in that lighter air I was able to stay up without any effort, actually go pretty fast too. In that lighter air, I was comparing it to the Unit D-Lab, it did feel a little lackluster. But after thinking about it, that's what makes this wing so good, is it was extremely stable, it just sat where it wanted to sit, and it didn't really do anything, which was what makes this wing so good. Now with the unit, the unit's a very lively wing, it moves around a lot, it pulls, it's a very grunty wing, it just pulls you along. It's a fun wing, it's an exciting wing. Whereas the Slick is more of a stable, user-friendly wing. It just sits where it's supposed to go. It seems to be in the right place. Now in the lighter air, I have to admit I was expecting a little more out of the D-Lab. It felt great because that same feeling of being able to just pull yourself up on foil, and how light these wings are. They sit in the air. You don't have to really work. Sometimes you don't even realize you have the wing in your hand. So I got off the water and I just thought, I don't know, do I like the unit or do I like the Slick better? The next time I took it out, it was about 15 to 20, gusting to 25. That's when I fell in love with this wing. What it does is it takes all the lackluster from the regular Dacron version and it livens up this wing. It really livens up the wing. It's still extremely stable as you get in the heavier gusts. It just sits there, it does what it's supposed to do. It never gets unruly. And I had some gusts up to 25, and yes, you're overpowered, but it was quite comfortable. It wasn't, you know, like I felt like I was too overpowered. I didn't need to come in and change wings. At 20 knots, it was quite comfortable. You know, yes, I would have preferred to be on a smaller wing, but when you're out there and it pops up to 20, you don't have to come racing in to change wings. And I think probably one of the main reasons it feels like that is the lack of distortion. When you get up to the upper end of the wind range, the wing doesn't distort. So the characteristics of the wing stay pretty much the same all the way through the wind range. If you look at this graphic here, you'll see even at full load, when loading up for a jump, there's basically no distortion on the leading edge. And the same thing when you're at full weight. When the wing is lofting and carrying your full weight and the weight of the board, still no distortion. One of the main differences I found between this version and the regular Dacron version is that I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the regular Dacron version, so I can't speak in depth about it, but the regular Dacron version, even as opposed to the SLS version, has a lot more low-end grunt. It's a more powerful wing. It does get a little more unruly on the upper end compared to the SLS, but compared to the Dacron version, with the D-Lab, you do lose a little bit of that low end. But because the wing is so stiff and so easy to pump up and foil, it's really no issue at all. I can get this going just as easy as I can the regular Dacron. But it is a little more lackluster in the lower wind range as opposed to the regular Dacron, which has more grunt. But once you get up into the upper wind range, where the SLS excels, and the SLS doesn't have as much low end as the new 2023 Dacron version, but it is more stable in the upper end. The Dacron version does seem to move around a bit more in the upper end and get a little unruly, not uncomfortable, just there is a noticeable difference. Now I think what the D-Lab does is it takes the best out of those wings, and it also adds some of the features of the unit. By being so stiff, it really livens up the wing. It gives it a lot more stability, especially in the upper wind range. And being so light, it is so controllable without that distortion because it's very, very predictable. You know exactly what this wing is going to do. It's always in the right place. It doesn't distort, so it feels the same when you're riding in 10 knots or 20 knots. It's a really good feeling. I think also the new canopy material, this is their new Mod 3 canopy material. It is supposed to be a lot more durable, stiffer, less flex, and I think you do feel that. And in my opinion, the 2023 version of the Slick, which also has this canopy material, but the regular Dacron leading edge and strut, I think that's why it's a little unruly in the upper end of the wind range. Because of the stiff canopy, it does distort the wing a little more, and you get a little more pull in your hands. So you feel the wind a little more in the upper end. Not bad at all. It is noticeable compared to this wing. I think with this stiffer canopy works really well with the Alula material because you don't get that distortion. So without the distortion in the canopy and the stiffness of the frame, it just makes a very stable wing all the way through the wind range. Now with the unit, I haven't had enough time on it yet. As I said, we will be doing a review as soon as I spend some more time on it. That is just the unit's characteristics, that when you get into the upper wind range, it is a little bit unruly. It does move around a lot, it does yank you around, and that's more the design rather than the materials. Because basically the same materials, but with the Slick, it's a lot more stable. So let's take a closer look I'm not going to go into all the technical specs. Duotone has a really good website with everything you need to know about it. But the wingspan's 263 centimeters. Its claimed weight is 2.23 kilograms, whereas the Dacron version's weight is 2.49. Now, I put this on a scale with the SLS boom, the carbon boom, and it came in at 276 with the boom and a leash. So it's an extremely light wing, and it's very noticeable when it's flying. Going through transitions, it just parks itself in the air. You really don't even feel it. If we overlay the two wings, the Dacron version and the D-Lab version, there are some subtle design differences. Take this with a grain of salt, as these are just graphics taken from the Duotone website, and there's no way to tell whether I'm overlaying them accurately or not. If we overlay it in this view, there's basically no difference. But if we overlay it from the side angle, it appears that there is a slight difference in the dihedral of the D-Lab, a little more dihedral, which would explain why it feels more stable when you're flagging it out on the waves. For those of you who are not familiar with the Slick, it is the boom version, so let's take a closer look at how this boom works. It basically just slides in the bottom here, and it has a Velcro enclosure here with two Velcro straps. Very simple, durable, easy way to put things together, and I've never had it even come close to popping out. The original Slick, they did have some issues with the boom popping out, but that has been resolved. And then you get this little neoprene cover which helps protect your board and your head. Now, who's this wing for? Well, anyone can ride it, absolutely. It's a very easy wing to ride. Now, would this be a good wing for a beginner? A beginner can use it, absolutely. It is extremely light, which does help. But in my opinion, it is a waste of money for a beginner, because you don't have the wing skills, the wing handling skills to get the most out of it. This would be a good wing for an intermediate or an intermediate to advanced, as that's when you'd really be able to have the skill level to get the most out of this wing. You will be able to feel what the Alula material does, and you would also be able to feel how fantastic this wing performs when you get it in the right place. When you find that wing spot where it creates apparent wind, the amount of apparent wind this wing creates is amazing. It really does pull you along, even in extremely light air. Well, thanks for watching. Coming up, we'll be doing a review on, as I said, on the Slick versus the Unit. Then we'll also be taking a look into a lot of the new North products. I've been riding them for a little while. We're still waiting on some of the newer ones to come in. As soon as we get our hands on those, I will be doing some reviews on those too. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button so that you'll know when these reviews come out. Thanks again for watching.